So next topic is dynamic output in expression. Now yesterday's class or a day before yesterday's class. So what we have done, we have implemented some components. Now let's say here few components that we have implemented. Open resource, let's find out what are the components that we have created. Start.cmp. Now let's say implements, attributes. This is the attributes, and let's see a few other. Quick action. Let's go to the quick action. So here, for example, last class I have given an assignment, kind of a checkbox. Now based on the checkbox, right? So if I include another attribute which is called as a checkbox, and based on that checkbox value, it should display these values. What are the entered information is there? Those should be displayed based on the output of the Boolean value. If it is a true, then only display these values. If it is a false, don't display these entered information values, do not display. Now, how can we do this? Like, how can I handle this kind of a scenario? Based on the field value. Based on the field value. Could be a checkbox or could be some number or anything you can accept. Even integer also you can check. Based on the integer value, you wanted to display one field, right? It's a dependent field. How can you implement a dependent field? If you want to implement a dependent field, then you have to go for a dynamic output in expression. Now let's see the dynamic output. So dynamic output it's a simple, straightforward. So simple expression. Now we have already used these kind of expressions in the process builder. We have already seen these kind of expressions in the process builder. It's like a simple expression. If the condition is true, what you wanted to use it. If the condition is false, what you wanted to use it. But how do you use the simple expression in the Aura component? So based on the value that is available in the expression, then you wanted to display the dependent. Now, if you want to accept the value, so that means we are storing the value into the attribute. Now, if you want to accept the value from the attribute, then you have to use the curly brace exclamation v dot, whatever the attribute name is there, you have to use the attribute name. So here view is nothing but a view, viewing the attribute information, viewing the variable information, viewing the variable information. Now, DEC is attribute name. Now, if I enclose text value with some codes, then such as like a curly braces exclamation. Now, instead of a variable, can I write a text? Can I write a text? Now, usually what we are doing is, now that's fine. We are adding the information. Now, that's fine. We are adding the information like I'm collecting the value from user. We are collecting the information from the user. Once we collect the information from the user, we are storing the information within the attribute. Now I'm calling the attribute. For calling the attribute, we have to use the syntax which is called as a curly brace exclamation v dot, whatever the attribute name is there. Let's say attribute name is DEC. Now let's say instead of the attribute name, can I directly paste here the text like a curly braces exclamation v dot, instead of a v dot, I'll place it here, store. I'll place it here, store. Store is a text. Now if you write like this, what will happen? System will consider this as a output is a store. Output is store, and it will give you the error also. It will give you the error. So do not ever use the text directly within the curly braces exclamation and don't write some text there. The output, you will get it, whatever the output is there, but you will also have it, the backend error will be there. So that's a silly mistake. So don't do that. So let's assume that we have a checkbox. Using the lightning input, I wanted to use the checkbox type. So for the checkbox type, used like whatever the checkbox is there, if it is accepted. Now here I need to use the type of input and the label, which we have already seen the lightning input, how to use it. So by using the checkbox lightning input, what we are going to implement is conditional expression, the dynamic output we are going to implement. If you have to implement a conditional expression output or a dynamic output, you have to use the tag which is called aura colon if. You have to use the tag which is called aura colon if tag. So that means if condition, you have a if condition. If this using this aura colon if tag displays the output conditionally. Now that means you are going to start here, check aura if. If the aura if condition is true, then execute the true statement. If the aura if condition is false, then execute the else statement. We have a else statement. There is no false statement. Only the one which is available in the aura is aura if. If it is false, then you have to go to the else condition. The else condition, you have a different way of implementing the else condition. But assume that right now aura if is, if condition is true, then it will go to the true condition. So it will go to the true condition. So here it is a aura if, like how do we write the condition here? Aura if is the tag, and in that we have an attribute which is called as a is true. Attribute which is called as a is true. You have a attribute which is called as a is true. Is true equal to, you need to specify whatever the condition is there. Expression you need to mention. Is the Boolean value is true, or else if this input field, if this input field equal to some text or an input field equal to 5, you wanted to check the condition. So in that case, you can check the input condition equal to 5, then only go inside it. So those are the conditions you need to specify within the is true attribute in aura if tag. Right, so syntax will be aura if, aura colon if, is true equal to conditions. Now you specify whatever the conditions you wanted. Let's say aura if closure will be there. Now let's see the example for this. Now we are going to use the aura if condition. Now whatever we have implemented in the last class, I'm going to use the same component. Right, so let's say here I'm going to have a checkbox. Now let's say the checkbox is, I'm going to use the checkbox which is called as a Boolean. So for that we need to have an attribute which is called as a, let's say aura colon attribute, aura colon attribute, and name equal to, let's say show entered values, and the type should be the Boolean. Type equal to, we can use the Boolean. This is the attribute. Now I need to create a lightning input. Now for lightning input, I need to capture the user input here. Lightning colon input, and I'm going to take a type. So attribute has a type is a Boolean. Lightning input has a type as a checkbox. It's a checkbox. Type equal to checkbox, and let's say name. I'm going to use here the name. Show entered values, and attribute name, I'll take it as a easy way to capture, like a e values. Right, so label name should be show entered values, and whatever the user is checked it, like whatever the user is checked, whether checked or not checked, everything I wanted to capture inside the variable which is we have it e value. E values. Let's take e value. Checkbox. and then close it. So this is the lightning input. We have a lightning input where we have said checkbox and then show the entered values and checkboxes. I'm capturing the information. Now let's see whether this is value is a captured or not. Value is just a captured or not. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to print the value here, v.e value. Click on save.
Ma'am, E miss అయింది madam attribute.
So let's save this. Now here, I'm going to use the quick action with record. So let's go to the account and edit object. And inside this edit object, we have a buttons link action. The one which we are using here, quick create. Let's see what is the components we are calling in the quick create. So click on this quick create. Now in this quick create, let's click on the edit. Now the one which we have modified is LC underscore quick action with record. Quick action with record and click on save. Now done. Let's refresh. Now I'll click on the quick create. So here we have a checkbox. Now select this checkbox. I am able to capture the value here, right? If I disable it, it says false. If I true and false. What is the value it is captured? If I check it true, if I uncheck false. Perfect. The value is able to capture. Now what we need to do? We need to implement a conditionally showing these values. Whatever these values are there, I wanted to show these values conditionally. Right, so in order to show these values conditionally, we have to use a aura colon if. We have to use aura colon if tag. Now in this if tag, I have an attribute which is called as a is true. Is true. And in this, I'm going to check the condition, which is whatever the entered by the user, simply I'll capture. Is true equal to curly braces exclamation v dot e value. If this is a true, then simply I wanted to show the values of this. If it is a true, then I wanted to show the values of this one. If this is a true, then show me the entered first name, entered last name, enter email. Click on save. Now let's refresh here. Right. Now click on this quick create. Now once we are done with the quick create, and let's say below by default, it is not displaying the value. Right. So we are only displaying these values if the value is true, if the attribute is true, right? So by default, attribute is false. By default, attribute is false. Now let's say here check. If I check it, then conditionally we are displaying the value. If I uncheck, then I will not be displaying the value. Now if you say here, I want a default value as a true, then in that case, specify here default. Default equal to specify true. Specify the true condition. If you specify the true condition, what will happen? Everything will be, by default, it will show the true condition because this value is true by default. Now let's go ahead and check this. Click on a refresh. Quick create. and by default it is a true and it is displaying the value. If I uncheck, then it will uncheck the value. So that is conditionally we are displaying the certain information. Now, when it is false, that means when it is a else condition. If it is a else condition, what should we do it? Now, if condition is working fine, what about else condition? How can I implement a else condition in the Lightning? If you want to implement a else condition, then you need to use it aura set attribute equal to else. Now you remember we have used the aura set before this. Right, today only we have seen aura set. Where did we use the aura set?
In card, lightning card.
In the Lightning card to display the title, header, footer, and then actions, we have used the aura set. Now, aura set also can be used for the if-else condition. For if-else condition. Now, whether you added Lightning card here or doesn't care. But here, whenever you use a attribute equal to else condition, attribute equal to else, that means it is for the conditionally showing the information. Aura set attribute equal to else. So you have a same thing, right? So here, if condition is true equal to, you need to specify the condition. If it is true, it will execute this. If you want to execute the false statement, you have to use a aura set attribute equal to else. Now, this else condition, you have to write it within the if condition. Usually what we will do in the Apex or in the Apex or in Java, like what we will do, first we will write the if condition. And if this condition is true, execute it, or else go to the else condition, right? You will write it like this. But in the Lightning, else condition has to be within the if condition. Else condition has to be within the if condition. So first you need to write a aura if. So this is the aura if. Now within the aura if, you need to specify the else condition. You need to specify the else condition. Now let me show you that value. Now whenever it is a false. Now whenever it is false, I wanted to show you the some text values. Now how do I show it? Let's say here, within the if condition, we need to specify aura set. Aura set, and then I'm going to use the attribute. The attribute equal to else condition. Right? Else condition. Now closing the aura set. Closing the aura set. Within the aura set, I wanted to see, let's say I wanted to show a few more options here. Let's say whenever condition is false. Whenever condition is false, then I wanted to show another input field. Let's say text field, copy, and let's show another text field. Let's say description. To store the description, I'm going to use the another attribute. Now here we will use the TES. Let's go here, refresh. Now click on the quick create. By default, it is on, so it is displaying this value, like entered information. Now, if I go to the, if I say false, that means else condition. If it is a else condition, then it is going to display the description. If it is a true, then it will display the entered first name, last name. If it is a false, it will display the description. So conditionally showing the information, right? Conditionally displaying the fields. Conditionally showing a certain field or information onto the lightning component. For that purpose, we use a aura if is true, that is for the if condition, aura colon set attribute, that is for the else condition. That is for else condition. Now let's say you are asking, like, for example, now this is the Boolean value. Now if I have to check a number, how can I check a number? For example, let's say here I wanted to check another lightning input. Lightning input lightning colon input. Now we will check number. So for that number, so I'm going to use the type. Type is the number. Basically, I'm going to capture some number from here. So based on the number, we are going to display the conditionally the values I'm going to display. Let's say lightning input type equal to what will be the type for integer. Name equal to, let's say, enter number to display values. Right, and then I'm going to store this information in what are the is entered. I'm going to store it into the one value. Let's say for the value, I'm going to use the attribute. For the attribute, aura colon attribute, and the name equal to, let's say here, n number equal to type equal to integer. Now I'm going to use this attribute to store the value. This is exclamation b dot number. So here, let me see. Click on save. Now this is based on the number. I wanted to check the value. Based on the number, I want to check it. Let's say here, first of all, is it a value? Am I getting the value or not? Let's check. Print it here. Click on it, save. Refresh. Let's click on it, quick create. In the quick create, let's say here I'm going to enter the value 5 or enter 8. So whatever I'm entering it, I'm able to capture the value. Okay. So here, this is a label. Let's say this is label. No. I wanted to check the two conditions. One is if this is a true, and another one is this number equal to 5. If this number equal to 5, display this, otherwise display this. Now, first of all, let me show you that. Now here you have a number, you want to check the number. So v dot whatever the attribute name is there, that name equals to, double equals to, then everything gets converted into the string. JavaScript, whether it is an integer or a string, everything gets converted into the string. So what I'm doing here, I'm checking here if n number equal to 5, then only display this. Otherwise, display this one. Now let's save this. Now this time I'm checking, instead of a checkbox, I'm checking the text value, right? Or in number, whatever the entered in the field. Based on that, we are displaying the other information. Click on here, quick create. Yeah. So based on the value, if it is a else condition, by default, it is executing the else condition. Because the else condition is, if the number equal to 5, then only I'm going to display these values. Otherwise, by default, I'll show this text box. Now here, by default, it is a text box. If I enter 5, then what will happen? The text box will go away and it will display. Now, if I enter any condition, any value, it is going to display the text. Now, let's assume that you want to check the two conditions. This as well as the another one which is called as a eval. Both of them you want to check it. Both of them you want to check it. So what you need to do, you need to use the curly braces exclamation and you need to use and v dot, whatever the checkbox is there, that checkbox comma, then you need to use this one. If the two conditions are, satisfied, then you have to show this. That means here you are checking the two values. V dot E value and then comma V dot number. If the two conditions are satisfied, then only you are showing the this. If any of the value is not satisfied, then you will show this one. Right? So two variables you are checking. Two variables you are checking it. Now let's click on a save. By default, it is on, but there is no value here. If I say 5, no, it is still displaying the value of this. Right? Value here, this is the true and this is also true. If the two values are true, then it is going to display the information. And condition we are using on v dot e value and v dot number equal to whatever the number is available. Curly braces, exclamation. There is something is wrong.
Maybe the changes are not being saved. Just save it once.
I did not say the company. Let's click on the quick create. This is true, and then I'm entering the values. If both the conditions are true, then it is displaying it. Right, so make sure you did not save here. You are saving the component. If there is a star mark, your changes will not work. So like this, you can check multiple conditions. So conditionally display the values based on the multiple values. So this is about the dynamic output. Now, how to print the dynamic output in Aura?
Aura if.
Aura if.
Using Aura.
How do we implement a conditional expression in the Aura component?
Aura colon if
And then
is true condition. Is true is equal to condition.
Right. Then within that, we will use the Aura set attribute equal to else condition. Now take a homework. Homework is implement a lightning component called LC calculator. You need to implement calculator component. Now in this calculator, you have two boxes like two lightning inputs. and they are the integer, first number and a second number. Enter the first number and a second number. If you click on a add button, so for example, you have entered here 5, first number, second number is also 5. So if you click on the add button, add should be displayed as a 10. If you click on a subtract, it should display the 0. If you display the multiply, then it should display the 25. If it is a division, then probably it will display the 1. So whatever the output is there. So all this calculation you have to do. How you will do it? Now, if you have to do it this one, you need to know the JavaScript, right? HTML you will not be able to implement. Only using the HTML component. When I say HTML component, it's nothing but just using the component. So this is HTML component. Just using this component, you will not be able to implement a logic. So right now, just implement the screen. Okay, just implement the icon and use this my personal calculator. Enter first name, enter last name, the sum of the value, and keep the buttons ready. Everything make it ready. The design make it ready. How this should be working it, we will see further going on. So just create a UI. And the next one is implement a lightning component called LC underscore simple interest. Now you need to take a 3 inputs, principal, rate, and time. And these 3 are the input fields. Like a number, it should accept the number. Now once you have given, then there should be a button called calculate. So just click on just create a UI part of this. And how the logic should be executed, how should I call the JavaScript, that we will see further going on. Right now, just implement a UI, which is called as a LC underscore simple interest. Create this fields and create a button. Keep it ready. And button should be always displayed at the right side on the top. And these are the trial head links.